What's up, YouTube? I'm Brett.
I'm Lance.
This is Rants or Us. As always, guys, if y'all enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave that comment down below. All right, guys. So,
Did you get where you were going?
kind of got a little confused where the camera was there for a second. But all right. Superman and Lois, episode 5. What did you think, Lance?
Like I said, like we talked about off camera, it wasn't a horrible episode for me, but comparing it to the first four, I'm kind of like this was the worst or the weakest episode so far. Hopefully, it bounces back a little bit for me next episode, but
Kind of like you. I don't really think that I would go so far as say I hated it because I was entertained.
yeah,
I was entertained throughout. I kind of felt like it was just a slow episode, and it's like okay, they brought back the miner that was lost, and it's like it just kind of happened out of nowhere. No one was questioning anything. Lois was the
other
only one
than
that was a
Lois.
little suspicious of
Yeah,
it,
that's what I was going to
and I'm
say. Other
like,
than
that was
Lois,
kind of dumb.
and
Uh,
then it's like what Morgan Edge is like creating superhumans now.
it
Like,
looks like it. It looks like it.
you know,
Okay, this is where another thing that I was really confused about. I've been complaining the last few episodes that that they didn't have Captain Luthor in there, and I say Captain Luthor now because apparently that isn't Lex Luthor because there is a Lex Luthor of that they did mention that is of that world.
yeah,
So
but
this
I mean,
is alternate
so it's Lex
dimension. Like,
Luthor from an alternate dimension.
yeah,
Yeah. So I
and
mean, he's still Lex Luthor, but
yeah,
he's
he's
just
Lex
not
Luthor.
our Lex Luthor, I guess. Like,
But see, for the longest time, I was thinking, okay, this guy is going to be actual Lex Luthor.
oh,
But
see, I kind of had a feeling where they were going with that for a while now.
yeah, when they did that, well, see, when they did that scene where it showed him with oh, what's his name, Captain General Lane, when they showed him and
Yeah, well,
in the
yeah, but I
being
kind
attacked
of
by
thought that
Superman,
they
that's when I realized it. But I
I
didn't
kind of
realize
thought
that there was a
before
Lex
that that's
Luthor
what they
there.
were doing because that's a big popular thing now is to do these alternate realities on all.
Yeah.
They do it on the Injustice games. They do it, so it's a big popular thing. So I kind of had a feeling that's what they were doing.
Well, see, if I'm not
But
mistaken, I used to watch The Flash all the time, like, and it just, was alternate reality, and so forth. But in my mind, I guess I was still living in that from the Arrowverse, where you know, people can be, yeah, there can be multiple sets of people in different, multiverse or whatever they call it with DC. There can be people, people from that, but there can also be worlds where that person doesn't even exist. So I was so in my mind, I was thinking, okay, this must be one of those worlds where Lex Luthor doesn't exist, but they mentioned him. And
yeah,
so I'm kind of like, okay, now I think I know where the path of this is going to go. This Luthor, when they showed this Luthor, and he apparently is married to Lois Lane in the alternate timeline or his own timeline.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I know where this is going to go now. He's probably going to probably sacrifice himself for Lois Lane
Somehow,
season finale or something like that. Like I
could
just
be,
assumed it's
could
going to be
be.
kind of like that.
And I kind of hope not because that's kind of cliche. But
It is, but see, I thought he was going to be like the bad guy of this series.
and
Um,
he still might be.
and now I'm kind of like, okay, he might be the bad guy to Superman, but he's not going to be the bad guy to Lois Lane. And so
Well,
I'm kind of
maybe
like, I'm a little
unless
disappointed by that.
unless he thinks because it's still Lois that he can convince her of who he was to her, and she's like, yeah, no. And then he's like, well, you know what? Screw her too. I'm gonna kill her too.
See, now that I know that, look, there's not going to be two Lex Luthors going forward in this. So he's probably going to die this season. So, and I'm kind of a little
Probably.
disappointed by that because I actually really like his character. I've been disappointed that that they haven't shown more of him. You
See,
know,
that's where me and you differ. He kind of bores me.
he kind of bores you. See, I really like his character. Don't get me wrong, I like Morgan Edge. I thought Morgan Edge is a really interesting guy. But to me,
Well,
Morgan
Morgan Edge
Edge is
is,
taking over Lex Luthor's normal, I don't know,
yeah,
story.
yeah.
And I don't
But
know if I like that too
Morgan
much.
Edge is always an interesting character to bring into the story of Superman. Like, that's,
Yeah, but I mean, doesn't he seem like he's taking on more of Lex Luthor's kind of storyline more than even
no,
the
I mean,
typical comic Morgan Edge?
I can definitely see where you're going with that, where you could see it that way. But like, it's really hard to gauge how that's going to play out when it's 5 episodes out of 15.
Yeah. Oh, no
You
doubt.
know,
I mean,
we're a third of the way through the season, and there's so much things that can change between now and the finale for us to.
see, I was
But
thinking,
at this point, I can see. I would agree with you. He is taking on more of a storyline or a story arc of Lex Luthor than Morgan Edge at this point.
yeah, I kind of feel like I was thinking that Morgan Edge was going to play like the main antagonist for this series, but now I'm like, okay, they're just setting up Lex Luthor. Like now I feel like that. I feel like Morgan Edge might be a season 1 villain, but he's probably not going to make it out of season 1 either. I mean, it's just something about that kind of makes me feel like they're kind of doing that. Um, I guess what is he doing exactly? Is he like trying to get a whole team of
It's kind
super
of like what I
villains?
said earlier. I don't know what his end game is really, but I know we obviously know that he is recruiting people who work for him to basically be experiments and turning them into superhumans somehow.
And I'm like, what is he using these superhumans for exactly? I mean,
Or
it,
is it what is he gonna use them for? Like,
see, it's like you take and again, I bring it back to the Lex Luthor thing. If it was Lex Luthor, I'd be like, okay, he's creating that to defeat Superman. But I'm kind of like, what is Morgan Edge's, thing about this? Like, he's already got enough superpowered people. He could beat Superman as is. I
well, my
guess now
thing
he's just
is
trying to see if he can get it stabilized or something along those lines because I don't know
maybe
if the.
maybe with like okay, maybe like the first superhuman we saw in this had Superman's strength, no doubt. But he wasn't shooting lasers out his eyes and crap. So maybe he's trying to figure out how to get all of Superman's powers into one person.
Could very well be. I mean, yeah,
Where
yeah,
right now he's only been able to isolate certain powers. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm just speculating right here,
but
but
I don't know that Leslie Law. It seems like she's kind of got both. It's almost kind of like she's got.
maybe she's the prototype that he's using. I
Yeah,
mean,
and
I
and
don't
so
know.
yeah, that he's maybe basing it off of, and they bring in the kryptonite thing, and I think to myself, well, the kryptonite, like, I guess could maybe do some
Unless,
weird things,
I
or
mean, I don't know. Are they using the kryptonite to create these beings?
it's
And
kind of seems that way.
if so, what will be their weakness? Like, because
It
obviously
wouldn't be
Superman is
kryptonite.
superhuman, and
Yeah,
kryptonite is his weakness. So,
yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of like,
might as well. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
it seems like I vaguely remember a comic that is that deals with this, but at the same time, like I'm not enough astute when it comes to the comics to really be able to point to okay, this is where they're going with it. As well, I'll have to refresh myself on some of my comic book lore that I do know. But I will say it sounds familiar, but it's not something that I can just point to and go, this is what they're
Look,
doing on it just yet.
and it's hard to gauge that because nothing we've ever gotten
Mm-hmm.
was of this era of Superman. This
Yeah.
is a whole new
Yeah,
We're in a whole another world with when it comes to Superman here because we've never seen this version of Superman, and so a lot of the characters I feel like are going to change because of that.
Yeah, I kind of think so too. I will say this: I love these. You know, I love these characters or this form of Superman a lot better than probably I've really loved any other form of Superman. To be honest with you,
See,
I'm not a huge
for me, I
Superman
think
fan, but
that is for me. I see. I was always a bigger Superman fan than you were,
mm-hmm.
but for me, I think the reason that most people are enjoying this version of Superman so much is because it's different. It's we've gotten almost every all the other versions are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Where this is something different, and so I think that's where it kind of captures a lot of people is just because it's not the same old story. It's not the same old song and dance. This is something new.
Well,
This is we don't know what's going to happen here.
It's like Superman for like 50 years was just the same. And then all of a sudden they started these last 10 years of like you see it in
now
Justice,
I do feel
you
like
see it in Snyder Cut where Superman turns evil and all that kind of stuff. Like there, it seems like now all these things are now copying that. So this is kind of doing something that's different than anything we've ever seen.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think they're gonna go that direction with this show at all. And I'm like, thank God for that because I don't want that. I don't. And now I do have questions. Are we gonna get to see how much powers Jordan really possesses next episode? Because this episode ended with Tag beating the crap out of him.
Wouldn't shock me. You know, something's gonna happen.
Something has to happen. He can't just lay there and let this guy beat him to death.
Not unless that guy takes him to the place wherever he was at. And you know what? I don't really blame that kid for attacking.
But how did that kid get away? But you know, how did that kid get away? Because you remember General Lane's like they're at a special place for kids with powers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I had a few questions about that too. How did he get out of there without the government realizing? And if there's a special place that they're taking all these teenagers that have these powers, how come Jordan's just like walking around school like?
It's kind of like what is it, Arkham? where you know, like in the Batman universe or even in the Superman universe as well, where you have all these like major supervillains and they keep putting them in the exact same place and then they just keep escaping and then everybody acts like, well, this is just totally normal, guys. Like he's not going to get out of it this time. Like it almost kind of feels like there's going to be that kind of situation in this show as well.
If there was this place for this, wouldn't Jordan be there?
I think if Jordan is found out, yes. And I think they could be going down that road.
That could be the type of thing like, you know, if Clark and Lois keep telling General Lane pretty much where to go when it comes to their kids, he's gonna be like, well, I'm gonna take Jordan and I'm gonna lock him up just because I have to for the sake of our nation.
Yeah, because if he goes off the rails,
because that's national security type thing, you know.
Yeah, and you know, Superman wouldn't be able to take down his son.
No.
I mean, and he's not gonna lock his son up. He's not gonna do that. So I mean, you can have a situation that could get bad really quick.
So I guess if anything's gonna make this version of Superman go off the rails, it's gonna be them trying to lock up his kid.
Yeah, I could really see I could really actually see a situation where General Lane and Superman are at odds because of him, of what to do with him. Like,
well, they've already kind of touched on that a little bit, you know.
Because General Lane, because if you remember, Lois kind of is like, you were a soldier before you were a father. Mm-hmm. And so why wouldn't he?
So how's that not going to translate? Yeah, I was gonna say, how's that not going to translate into him being a
Oh,
grandparent? I
oh,
mean,
I think it'll be the exact same thing. Not unless
I
something
do
just
too.
completely and totally
I
drastic
do
changes
too.
about his character, which I don't think it's
I do
happening.
too.
So I
And
mean,
like I said, we're not experts on this crap. This is all speculation, but that's kind of what we're here for.
yeah, I'm kind of yeah. So I mean, I can kind of actually see what you were talking about how this could maybe be the rift between General Lane and Superman, where that they start looking at Superman as maybe a threat because there's already that thing about where he's like, well, we're stockpiling kryptonite supposedly for Superman's good. But that's not really what it is. It's in case something goes wrong with Superman. Another
Just in
thing
case he
that
goes
could
off the
be,
rails.
yeah. Another thing is those kids that could be in there could be the government's way of trying to create an alternative to Superman, just in case something Superman does go off. That there's kind of like a Suicide
Or,
Squad
or,
that's meant to
or
take
if,
care of them.
or if like Superman like just decides, I don't even want to rescue people anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Think Superman would ever be that way? No, but I'm just saying,
well, I mean,
if he decided to retire,
yeah. The Suicide Squad is exactly that kind of thing, where they are there to basically take down superhero threats that are the potential of superhero threats, just in
right?
case something goes off the rails. So I mean, you could see a situation. I could really see a situation in the near future of this show where there's got to be a choice made. Like, is Jordan, is he going to go down his father's path, or is he going to get pissed off with his father or his grandfather and just do something that he can't come back from? I could see something along those lines, and him kind of not having having the issues that he has. I can maybe see him harder to control than somebody that's as laid back as what Clark Kent is.
I don't like their whole he's got issues storyline much because it's like since they moved to Smallville, he doesn't have these issues no more.
I know they've really toned that. They have toned that down a lot. I thought that was going to be a big plot point,
Yeah,
but the only reason why that was even there, it seems like, was so that he could have a connection with what's her name?
Sarah,
Huh?
Sarah,
Sarah.
Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah. So I mean, that's the only thing that I see that there's a connection about that. He hasn't had any explosion. In fact, John's the one that does the explosions. Like every episode now, it's like John does this really bad
And
acting thing where he's like, I'm
I think
pissed,
that's
but I'm sorry,
partly
dude. you know?
I think that's partly the whole I was center of attention, now you are.
Oh yeah.
Petty little jealousy type things. And him getting broke up with and Jonathan getting a date. Or Jordan getting a date and Jonathan getting dumped. I'm like, here we go with this kind of. I mean, I feel like there's so many better reasons to kind of put a strain between them brothers than that.
I know. I hope that look. I could understand if they wanted to go down the route of, okay, we moved to Smallville to protect Jordan, and John, you're just gonna have to leave all that other stuff behind. I could understand a rift between that, but if it becomes something about a girl or something like that, I'm gonna be like, I don't like that. I don't want that typical teenage BS that's in all these other CW shows now. I want something that is a little bit less
Probably gonna
petty.
happen. I mean,
Yeah, and it feels like this episode it's gonna happen. I actually kind of
I kind of felt like that a couple episodes ago that there was going to be that typical them basically competing for the same girl at some point type thing.
do you think it'll be Sarah?
I don't think so now after she kind of blew up on Jonathan.
I
Like,
kind of think it will be. simply because she blew up on him.
Yeah,
Because
why did she care so much that he was getting drunk? Like,
yeah, because I mean, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because all she's got to do is, I don't know, something about her relationship with Jordan doesn't work, or friendship, or something like that. Like maybe since they become friends and he just finds somebody else, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go over there and be with your brother now." Like I could see her maybe increasing a rift a little bit between them because they haven't introduced any other girls to this show. So I'm like, if there's gonna be a rift with girls, it's gonna be with him at least season one, something along
at
those
this point,
lines.
yeah.
But I just don't like.
Uh,
I don't like John when he's angry. I feel like he does such piss poor acting when he's angry. It's like, hey, I'm cool, man, but I'm gonna blow up on you this and this one, and then I'm gonna be like, no, I'm sorry, it's cool. How do you, it's like all of this make up your mind kind of situation. It's kind of like, and you know what? We've talked about that before. Is it bad directing? Is it bad writing? Or is it bad acting? And it could just be a little of all of it. But at the end of the day, a director's got to look at it and go, wait a second, that doesn't look natural. Let's do that again.
that's always been my kind of take on it. You know, me and you have discussed things like this, not just with this show, just with shows in general.
Yeah.
It is the director's job to direct these actors.
Yeah.
And when you're directing it that way, it's your job to be like, cut, that wasn't right. Let's try this again. Tone it down a little bit or bring it up a little bit. Or, to correct whatever the issue may be. That's the director's job. So I say bad directing, but
But then at the same time, you could almost say, well, okay, what if the actor is not able to do it? What if he's not able to? What if Jordan Elsis or whatever his name is isn't able to perform that task adequately?
well, you should have figured
You
that out
shouldn't have
before
got him
you
for the
casted
role.
him.
But
You should have figured that out before you casted him. So
yeah, I kind of feel that way too. I feel like, I don't know how it works, but you would almost think that they would have to go down through a list of different, reading the script
no,
and
they
so forth
do.
like that.
They're like, okay, we want to see how you are in this scene
Yeah.
happy. Now try this scene angry. They do stuff like that. So you can't tell me they didn't get a look at this before they gave him the part and was like, this is the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I kind of was that way too.
But then at the same time, there a lot of cases, certain people get casted because they had good chemistry with, like, the guy who plays Jonathan and the guy who plays Jordan must have had good chemistry. So maybe they're like, okay, he's probably not the best person for this part, but their chemistry's so good it makes their relationship believable. So we're going to go ahead and cast them together.
It's almost like Jensen.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, it's almost like Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki. Would there be anybody else that would fit that role any perfectly than those two together? They just had great chemistry in Supernatural.
Right.
I mean, and you can maybe get better actors to play those roles, but you can't. That chemistry.
You can't replace
everything.
that chemistry, and that could be the case between Jordan and Jonathan. Those actors that play those parts might just have had really good chemistry because I mean, I looking at it, I would believe they were brothers.
I would too, because
they act to each other.
And you know what? They kind of give off this feeling that when you're watching them, that they really care about each other. That's something you don't really see that often in shows. You see these
that's
people
something
that are
I don't
like,
feel
hey,
like,
we're brothers, we don't look or act anything alike.
I know I say directing usually, but that's something, the best directing could not replace chemistry.
No, it can't. It can't.
So I mean, in that aspect, it could very well part, but the chemistry they had with the other person replaced that. So they went ahead and did it. But
yeah, I mean, I will go so far. I feel like their chemistry is great, but I'll tell you one thing that's kind of pissing me off on this show is this back and forth between Lana and Kyle. Like, it's like every time you think that their relationship's fixed, like the very next episode, It's
To
like they
me,
go
that's
back.
such a for me, this is me personally, that's such a little side thing that I don't even care. Like,
It is, but then the only reason why I care about it is because I feel like it's later on going to be a bigger issue for the show. It's not going to be a
I don't
side
know.
thing. It's
I
going to
don't
be
know. I don't
something.
see that. I don't see it that
You
way.
don't
The
see it?
same as you. And so I guess that's why nothing that happens with them bothers me at all. I'm like, whatever.
See,
Whatever.
I just kind of look at it as like Lana has just given so many hints towards Clark. I don't think she'd intentionally want to hurt Lois, but I think with all this Kyle stuff
Now
that's
I do
going
think
on,
I
there's
felt
going to be
like,
some kind
and
of
I don't
plan.
know. I don't know if I'm the only one that sees it this way, but I did feel like the Clark's back like flashbacks didn't add up to what they had said in previous episodes. Like in previous episodes, Lana's like, "Well, we were together, and then he just left."
Yeah.
Well, in these flashbacks, his mom said something about her being with Kyle, and then Superman left.
And the kid,
So
and he looks like he's like 14 in this. And I'm
I would
like,
say 16 max, you know. So
yeah,
I'm
you
like,
just,
you didn't keep your flashback with the story you had given us just like 2 or 3 episodes before. That actually bothered me more than anything else, honestly.
and where
And
did
but
and where did he go? Like, where did he
surely
go?
he didn't go straight to Metropolis.
Well, I mean, if he went straight to Metropolis, what did he do? Be homeless for a couple years before he got a job? Like, he looks like he's like a 14-year-old kid. Like he
Yeah,
doesn't
I
even look
don't
like
know,
he's
man.
anywhere close to
That's what
18.
I'm saying. Those flashbacks just didn't add up with what we've seen or what we've been told throughout this show, and so that bugged me, and I didn't know if anybody else was felt the same way about that, but that's how
Was
I was bothered by that.
Well, see, I was bothered by the flashback scenes too. I thought the flashback scenes were really poor. I felt like every time that he would look back and he'd look out the window and he would see this flashback, and I'm like, what you're going through now is not what your son is going through. It's like that's a completely different
Yeah,
issue. That is that's not no, that's nothing that is relating to anything. So it was to me it was kind of
I
pointless.
didn't really understand that comparison either. He's like, "Oh, you moved me here, and now my girlfriend broke up with me. I don't have any friends."
Hmm.
And with Clark, it was like, "I didn't want to be here because you weren't allowing me to save people."
Yeah, I know. I mean, to me, it's like
So
one has powers, the other just has girl problems. Like,
yeah,
like I mean,
and
there's
then
a
he's
little
like,
bit
and that's what,
difference.
okay. I'm like, he's like, "I don't have any friends here. She didn't want to be with me anymore because I'm a nobody from Smallville. I'll
Hmm.
probably never play football again." And
Hmm.
then he goes out with Jordan, and the first thing he does is he sees his friends and goes over there and starts drinking with them. I thought you didn't have no friends.
I know. I thought the exact
Like, what
same thing. I'm
happened?
like, man, you sure are buddy with people that you're like, I don't have anybody here. Well, who are these
Buddy, okay,
guys?
and that's another thing with I live in a small town, probably smaller than Smallville.
Mm-hmm. Way
You
smaller.
can't tell me. You can't tell me that you went from 2 weeks ago beating the crap out of these guys for trying to fight your brother
Mm-hmm.
to those are your drinking buddies.
I know. I know.
Like,
Like I said, there's some things about this show. I'm not gonna say this show is perfect by any stretch of the
now I
imagination,
will say this though.
but it does have some kind of things that
This
make
is
it.
my favorite show on TV right now.
It is mine too, actually. It is.
But I'm gonna nitpick and I'm gonna pick it apart. That's just what we do here.
Yeah, I know. That's the same. I mean, that's what we do here on Rants or Us. It's not that we hate it, guys. It's just, hey, you know what? We always expect the best
We're gonna
out
break
of
it
the
down.
shows
Let's
that we
break it
love the
down.
most. Like, so, there's things that this show can improve upon. I feel like John can improve on his acting ability a little bit where, he gets angry about things. I feel like Clark maybe could take more of an
His
active
emotions,
role with his
his
kids.
emotion acting.
Yeah, I feel like Clark could take more of an
Ooh.
emotional role or a parenting role when it comes to his kids instead of just letting his kids just barrel over him all the time and then him just reacting like,
Oh,
oh, I
I
know
mean,
where you're coming from. No,
I
you don't.
understand. Look. I understand. I do understand. Not, yeah, I do understand not wanting to go overboard with your kids because you're putting them through a big culture change or whatever.
Yeah.
But to let your kid just walk all over you because you don't want to upset him, no, that's not happening.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I kind of felt with Lois Lane
Um,
on that one when she's like, he's like, you know, you're not in trouble. And she looks at him and and she's like, oh, really? It's like you knew in the
I bet
background.
he
It's like you
is.
might not be with your daddy, but you sure are with me. Like you know, speak for
Yeah.
yourself on that one, buddy.
For me though,
What would you rate this
I would
episode?
give this episode. I would give this episode a 6.5.
I actually would too. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking about a 6.5. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I felt like this was one of the weaker episodes that we've seen so far. But
I do too. And like I said, who knows? We still got a long season ahead of us, so we might be on here in a couple weeks and be like better than that. I mean, I
yeah,
don't know, but we'll see.
I feel like yeah, this show. I think that the next episode will be a lot better than what this episode
I do
was.
too. But
And I feel like the rest of the season will be a lot better. I just felt like this was a slow episode. Maybe it's a slow episode that was needed to maybe show some
this
things that we're
show,
not catching on right now. It could
yeah,
be
but
something
this
like
show
that.
is on CW, so I'm not willing to be like this is going to be the worst episode of the entire season because the finale could be the worst.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey,
It's CW.
one division, you know, that's the way
When
I
that
feel
was
towards that. But as always, guys, thank y'all so much for watching. And if y'all got something to say about this episode, leave a comment down below. And as always, guys, take care.